podcast is for all cancer patients and the cancer caregivers. I am Dr. Minakshi Chaudhary on behalf of Cancer Rounds. Welcome you all to a video podcast for cervical cancer awareness in the first month of the year, the January. Let us briefly first learn about the Cancer Rounds. To start with, in India, our nation, Cancer Rounds is the only first comprehensive virtual cancer care platform which is focused on providing services to cancer patients in the form of the key to all locks in the world of oncology that includes diagnostic workup, tumor board opinion, hospital admissions, and post-treatment care. This will also include oncology counseling and financially aiding services that will be provided at a end to the best. We are pleased to invite Dr. Shubham Garg, the best surgical oncologist from Fortis Cancer Hospital, Noida. Dr. Shubham sir has experience of overall 6+ years as a specialist in the field. He is well versed in management of all types of cancers, namely head and neck cancers, lung, esophageal cancers, breast cancers, gastrointestinal cancers, gynecological malignancies, and tumors of bone and soft tissue. He is well versed with minimal assist surgery in form of laparoscopic surgery of GI cancers and video assisted thoracoscopic surgery for thoracic malignancies. He is founder member of Tumor Board and non-profit online portal to provide second opinions to cancer patients, and this is the boon to the humanity. We are pleased to have you, Dr. Shubham sir, with us, the well-known surgical oncologist. Sir, thanks for being partnering with informative video podcast series of Cancer Rounds. This video podcast is initiating year 2022 with Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. A big thanks to Cancer Round for having me for the first informative podcast of the year. I am very happy to contribute to this noble cause.
Thank you, sir. We'll start up with today's discussion. We'll be discussing about 10 FAQs about cervical cancer that will help all youth, females, and the females to protect themselves from the cervical cancer, and we can perform whatever possible preventive measures can be possible as a home remedies for and against cervical cancer. So before that, please help the listeners and audience to understand what actually this cervix means. What is cervix, sir?
So when we talk of cervix, हिंदी में उसको गर्भाशय का मुंह बोलते हैं, यानी जो आपके बच्चेदानी होता है उसके मुंह को cervix बोलते हैं. And cervix is a muscular tube which is the junction between your birth canal and your uterus, which is the womb in which the baby rears up. So in terms, cervix is the mouth or the opening of the uterus, and it goes through the vagina.
Thank you, sir. That's perfectly a perfect explanation, I think, for all the females who are even not from the science background. Coming on to what cervical cancer actually is and how frequently young females can get affected through it. Youth, how can it be dangerous to the youth, sir?
So it is important to understand that, many times we consider cancer to be a problem for the old, but actually, especially in cervical cancer, the problem starts in the youth and it goes in time and affects us in the older age. So what happens that cancer is a process of change which happens in the cells of the cervix. All our organs have some cells in them, and similarly, cervix has the squamous cells. These cells, when they undergo repeated change, they can become defective in nature, which we know as dysplasia. So many times you might have heard of the term dysplasia, hyperplasia. So these are cells which are not normal in nature, but abnormal. It is these cells which multiply and can take a cancerous form and appear to us as cancers. So cancer is nothing but a combination of abnormal cells. In case of cervix, that is squamous cell carcinoma. Now, in the youth, what happens is these changes accumulate, and in the initial younger age, you might not have a cancer, but the starting of the cancer or the dysplastic cells will happen in the youth itself. And by the time you are to the age of 30-35, the chances of a cervical growth or a cancer developing start. So it is not correct to say that the youth are at risk of cervical cancer, but if you are to prevent cervical cancer in the actual age which it is around to happen, you should begin prevention from the youth itself.
So that nice to understand the what cervical cancer and what the pathogenesis behind it is, and how youth is not being affected, and what preventive measures the youth and the affecting decade ages can take. But what are the screening methods that will be helpful to diagnose this cancer at early stages? Since we have been reading and listening everywhere, early diagnosis can lead to some treatable extent or cure extent of each cancer. Sir, please enlighten us with this.
So cervical cancer is actually the best cancer that can be prevented, and there are well established prevention and screening platforms and programs for cervical cancer. In fact, cervical cancer is the only cancer which even has a vaccine, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later. Now, the screening test, which is very easily available, it is available even at a district level or at the rural level, and it is very easy to be done and can be done by the gynecologists themselves, is a pap smear. Now, what happens in the pap smear is that the gynecologist takes a scraping of the cervix. You know, they take a little bit of cells around the cervix, they put it on a slide, and they examine this slide under the microscope to see the cancerous cells, that changes that we were talking about in the first question, are they present or not? If these changes are present, then it may indicate a cancer. It is not that every change is cancer, but that change might be the starting of a cancer. So almost 30 to 40% times the abnormal cells may not represent cancer, but they are best to pick up these early stages of cancer so that we can take adequate prevention for this. Nowadays, a better test, which is also called as the liquid pap smear or the high risk HPV test, is also available, in which actually the scrapings that are taken are examined for the HPV virus, which is supposed to be the reason behind cervical cancer. And it is a very accurate test, even better than pap smear, and it tells us about the possibility of having high risk HPV DNA, and thus the possibility of developing cancer.
So, being a female, my question, and other females are also listening, their question is this test painful, sir?
So this test is not painful at all. It might be a little uncomfortable because you have to be in a lithotomy position, but if it is done in the right way, it is not associated with any pain or any bleeding. It hardly takes 10 minutes and you don't need any preparation for it. It is actually ideal that you should start to get pap smear from the age of 21, and it is essential that in the third decade, that is from 21 to 29 years, you should get it every 3 years, the pap smear. Between the age of 30 to 65, you have an option of getting the pap smear done every 3 years, or you can get the liquid pap smear done every 5 years, or a combination of two every 5 years. After the age of 65, if you have been regularly getting your pap smear done, then you are not at that high risk of developing cancer and you can avoid getting a pap smear. Also, if you have already had a hysterectomy or the cervix removed for a benign condition like fibroid or extensive bleeding, you might actually not need to undergo a pap smear. So you should not worry about pap smear. Pap smear is a completely safe, very easy to do test and can be done at your local clinic also.
That's really nice to hear, sir. And if in these diagnostic tests, the words that we have just come to know, dysplastic cells are being mentioned, or what are the symptoms that female might face at home that would raise an alarm that it's a right time now to consult the healthcare provider, sir? Please tell us, sir.
So, screening, as we talked about, is to be done for asymptomatic patients. यानी अगर आपको कोई तकलीफ नहीं है फिर भी जब आप टेस्ट कराते हो, that is known as screening. But
Yes.
if you have any of these following symptoms, it means that it could have already been started, or you need to visit your oncologist or gynecologist to look for any cancer. Now, the most important sign is a very heavy vaginal bleeding or any whitish discharge, which can be sticky, smelly. So if it happens between periods, or your periods are extra heavy, or they happen for a very long time, then you need to get yourself examined. The second very common test is dyspareunia, or pain after having sexual contact and having excessive bleeding after sexual contact. This is the second very common symptom because this happens in the reproductive age, and it is very important that the young people who undergo sexual contact are made aware of these symptoms. The
And
third
people generally, yes.
and the third most important symptom is that you could have any bleeding or any pain during urination or due to passing of urine, which can actually pick up advanced stage of CA cervix. But it is also that you need to be aware of.
It's really nice to understand this, because many of among these symptoms, females who are not aware, they feel shy and they don't discuss it with their healthcare provider easily. So now we as a female women's, we should be aware that even if the pain after sex or urination or bleeding during the sex is being faced by us, it's not late, it's an alarm that we should go and get ourselves screened. So sir, you also mentioned about HPV, human papilloma virus. So we are also listening in day-to-day routines in our medicine magazines where healthcare providers has been talking about HPV vaccination. So what is an accurate age to get vaccinated or administer this vaccine? Who all can take this, sir?
So you have to understand that human papilloma virus is a sexually transmitted disease, and it happens when you have sexual contact. So the ideal age for vaccination is actually before you develop any type of sexual contact. So in our country, it is recommended that it is recommended that you should have the vaccine as early as possible, preferably in your pre-teens, that is around 11th to 12th year of your life. You should get that vaccine. If you get this vaccine below the age of 15, then you need only 2 doses, which are 6 months apart. But if you want to have the vaccine after the age of 15 years, or you are not aware of the vaccine before the age of 15 years, and you get a chance to have it after the age of 15 years, then you will require 3 doses of the vaccine, that is at 0, 1, and 6 months. Now, the best part about HPV vaccine is that it does not only prevent against the cervical cancer, but it also prevents, in case of females, with the cancers of the vulva, cancers of the anal canal, cancers of the mouth and the throat, because some of the oropharyngeal cancers are also related to HPV virus. Even in the case of males, the chances of cancers of the mouth, throat, and the anus are very high, and they can be prevented with the use of this vaccine. So it is not that only females are supposed to take these vaccines, even the males are recommended to take this vaccine.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for telling us that how HPV vaccine can be administered and when it can be administered. Since cancer is the word when it comes to healthcare industry, we generally don't use the term cure. So, is cervical cancer treatable or curable? And when it can be considered curable, please tell us, sir.
Right. So these are two words which are often used interchangeably, that if it is curable, it is treatable, or if it's treatable, it's curable. So, for a general term, cancers, when they're detected in the early stage, they are curable. But any type of cancer in any stage, it is always treatable. You can offer always treatment to a cancer patient, but the chances of the cure depend on the stage it is diagnosed. So even in case of cervical cancer, if you are able to diagnose it, especially in the first or the second stage, you will get completely cured of it, and you need not worry about it. But if it happens to get diagnosed in the third and the fourth stage, then the chances of cure reduce, although the treatment still is available, but the chances of cure are reduced.
So thank you, sir. So this will might be emphasizing onto the screening for asymptomatic population as well. Uh, talking about cervical cancer, it's really a dilemma. We, as a female, and even the partners, they come across a question how to preserve fertility. Is in fertile age cervical cancer, if diagnosed, still the fertility can be preserved, sir?
So, the fertility will get hampered with the treatment, especially if it's surgery, then you will have to lose your cervix and the vagina and the uterus. So, you will not be able to bear child. This may not be in the case if you are getting only radiotherapy, but there are some fertility preservation options available. But these are possible only if the cancer is diagnosed in the early stage. This type of surgery is known as trachelectomy, where you remove only the part of the cervix and not remove either the uterus or a part of the vaginal wall. But nowadays, there are better techniques also available in terms of in vitro fertilization, where you can preserve the eggs of the patient, and then you can have either a surrogate pregnancy, or you can use a test tube baby to generate an embryo for these patients. But these is that you should try to diagnose the cancer in an early stage so that you can yourself bear the child.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir, for telling us how the fertility can be preserved. Is there any chances that gestational female can pass cancer cells if suffering from cervical cancer to a newborn baby?
So theoretically, this is a possibility. What happens is, because the birth canal is the same where the cervix and the vagina is in the communication. So it might happen that during the passage of the child through the birth canal, the child might actually aspirate some of the cancer cells, which can lead to deposits of these cancer cells in the lung. But there is that very faint risk of having this, but still there is a risk of having this.
So, can a human papilloma virus vaccine will affect the fertility if being taken by a female in reproductive age?
So, there have been multiple studies regarding this thing, because it's a very, very big question mark, especially in the US and the European countries where the vaccine is a very common thing. But it has multiple studies have shown that there is no relationship of vaccination and infertility. In fact, because once you take the vaccine, you are better sure that you are not going to get cancer cells. The chances of having a baby increase because your number of sexual contact can increase.
Sir, thank you, sir, for telling us about this question that is always hampering the youth and the people within the reproductive age. And we have been looking in various research papers and healthcare magazines, the blogs, that there are innovations in the treatment of the cancer, where a new ray of hope is the immunotherapy. So, is immunotherapy is also a new sanction for a cervical cancer treatment regimen?
So immunotherapy is the newest kid on the block, and I'm sure everybody is very intrigued about immunotherapy. So what immunotherapy does is that it actually modulates the immune cells within our body itself, and it makes them act against the cancer cell. So immunotherapy helps by improving your body's own immunity to fight against the cancer cells. Now, immunotherapy is useful only in advanced cases of cervical cancer, or in cases of cervical cancer where the radiation and surgery have failed or have not been successful in treating it. That is residual or recurrent cancers. Now, how immunotherapy helps is that it acts on the T cells and increases them to recognize the cancer cells and fight against them. There are some fancy names like Keytruda and pembrolizumab, which I'm sure you might have heard, but these are the new drugs which are there and are available for fighting against this. But I think what you need to understand is that, there is no limit to treatment. We have a lot of treatment available, but what is most important is that you as a patient should get the diagnosed cancer at the earliest stage. So you require minimum treatment and get maximum benefit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Shubham, sir, for your valuable inputs. That is surely unveiling a miraculous mystery to all of our followers and audiences. We request all audiences to contact us on the website link. And please share us your queries that will be answered directly by Dr. Shubham sir. And thank you, sir, for participating in the podcast series with Cancer Rounds. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.